So if you guys are fans of any wrestling game, then you're going to want to pay attention to this, because in the spring of 2023, and just a few months from now, there's a game that's going to be coming out for your mobile device called GM Universe. And what this is going to allow you to do is exactly what it sounds like. Become the general manager of your universe. You can buy and sell superstars. You can compare your progress to others and attempt to become the best league in the world. You'll be able to create superstars, teams, factions. You'll have a financial overview. Again, you can buy and sell the superstars. You can come up with your own league logo, come up with a weekly show name. This league is really yours to customize. So if you love wrestling or you love even fantasy football, this is the best of both worlds. In the spring of 2023, look out for General Manager Universe. It's GM Universe for short. It'll be available on Google Play and the App Store. And if you want an early preview of what this is going to look like, I put a link to the YouTube channel in the description of this show, or you can just search on YouTube GM Universe.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me. Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. We're here to talk Monday Night Raw that took place in Des Moines, Iowa last night. And a lot to talk about tonight as we really kind of just crawl. I mean, it feels like we're crawling to the Royal Rumble because there's nearly no mention of it. And with 9 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it was between Survivor Series and Rumble, you knew there were going to be a couple of weeks that they would pretend that there's no premium live event. And now we are 4 or 5 weeks out. We're 3 weeks past Survivor Series, and they're still almost not talking about it at all. It's been sparingly discussed. The only entrant that we know of in either Royal Rumble right now is Kofi Kingston. Talk about a lackluster name there. So I don't think that they're going to last much longer ignoring the pay-per-view, but I'm sure that they needed time to figure out the logistics and the actual card and the official lineup and who's going to be in the Rumble, surprise returns, that kind of thing. And, of course, because there are massive implications from Rumble to Mania, because then you really kick off WrestleMania season with the Royal Rumble. So this is not an event to be taken lightly. There's a lot of booking and thought and preparation that goes into this event. So you would imagine that in 2 weeks' time, that they will finally begin acknowledging the fact that they have a Royal Rumble card to fill, who's going to be in the Rumble, and so forth. So next week, we will see the best of 2022, I think is what they're labeling the show. So it's essentially a no Monday Night Raw next week. It's just a video package week, which is still going to be fun to be able to sit back, put your feet up, and take a breath and watch what happened this past year, and realize that after that week, we kick it into high gear into WrestleMania season, because that is when things really take off. And I have said that. And if you've been a wrestling fan the last few years, even, you realize that when the calendar changes to that new year, that is when things really kick in. And we have a United States title match in 2 weeks on Raw. We have that massive match with John Cena and Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn that's going to take place in Tampa, Florida, among other things. So there's a lot that's going to be happening in just 2 weeks' time. So if we can all just get past these 2 weeks and, then realize that we are going to be in complete focus for Rumble and Mania. No more fooling around, no more kind of filler shows. It is full steam ahead. So Certainly, we've got a lot to look forward to, but you know what? Even in the very short term and looking at last night, I think there was some good things that happened last night. Some interesting things, some nice progression in storylines. And where I'd like to start first is actually Alexa Bliss. Yeah, of course, last week we saw her nearly turn on Bianca Belair and hit Sister Abigail after the Bray Wyatt moth symbol flashed on the Titantron. She nearly snapped. She didn't. This week we get a sit-down interview with Byron Saxton, who's hosting it, and Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss, who are the participants. And Bianca said that she just simply doesn't trust Alexa now. And Alexa said, hey, Bray Wyatt abducted me. And then when he left me, I felt abandoned, right? He left me out there to just fall to pieces. And she said she did therapy and all that. And that just left her in a broken shell of herself, essentially is what she said, which is true. I mean, she has been literally doing nothing since that time. So, we then got, after the interview was over, the Bray Wyatt symbol flash again quickly on the screen, which leads to Alexa Bliss smashing the flower pot over the head of Bianca Belair. And this is, again, this is progression because it now has progressed into physical action where she follows through. And it does seem indeed that Alexa Bliss will be rejoining Bray Wyatt at some point here. I don't know exactly when. You'd imagine the Royal Rumble is probably the time and the place. But also, if I'm not mistaken, they have a Raw Women's Championship match in 2 weeks. That was the other thing that's going to happen. So a huge Monday Night Raw coming in just 2 weeks. On top of that, I think there's also the Raw 30th anniversary coming. So Raw 30th is coming also shortly thereafter that, before the Royal Rumble. So I'm sure they have a legend-packed show for that event. But, so Alexa Bliss, more interesting than ever. I just am hopeful that if she rejoins Bray Wyatt, that it's not the same version of her that fans got sick of and that felt redundant and had no direction. I hope that whatever this connection is, that there's more meaning behind it, there's more of a story, and it keeps Alexa Bliss in the ring. That to me is so key, where the last iteration of her was interesting, no doubt, and she did a great job going all in on the character. The massive flaw, the biggest drawback of that character that Alexa Bliss played, while notable, was it kept her out of the ring. She didn't wrestle much. She was kind of a stage character. She didn't do what she's been trained to do, and that's be in wrestling matches. She didn't do a whole lot of that. And she never captured the Raw Women's Championship, which is really just criminal. So this time, hopefully, whatever this connection is, whatever the result is, whatever the payoff is with Alexa and Bray, it keeps her in the ring. And she's not just this sidekick to Bray Wyatt. I hope that's the case. So we'll have to see. All right. One note before we can continue on here. I want to make sure that I cover this because I took the time to actually write the note down here. Is Kevin Patrick and his commentary work. Now, Corey Graves, we all know, is kind of the anchor of Monday Night Raw. He is just a natural. He feels like he's just the foundational piece of the commentary team. While others have come and gone, it has always been really just the anchor of Corey Graves being there, right? Because he's so good. But Kevin Patrick, by the way, I'm glad they went down to a 2-man booth. Still, I love that. Less crowded, easier to understand. Nobody talking over each other for the most part. So Kevin Patrick, I haven't. To me, the verdict's still out on him. And it's been a revolving door, again, outside of Corey Graves. That second position has been a revolving door for quite some time. But Kevin Patrick, he has his moments. He's coherent. He toes the company line. He says the company phrases. He loves the word statement more than anybody I have heard in the past, which is not a compliment. And he gets emotional. He puts, you can tell he's putting effort into trying to emote or create emotions among fans. And that's his job. I guess the one thing is that I've noticed, and I hate if this is going to ruin it for the rest of you. So I feel like he's always out of breath. Like, you listen to the way he speaks, and I don't know a better way to describe it than that. When Kevin Patrick gets into something, even if it's just like a transitional part of a match, he is always like this. I'm going to do a really bad impression of it, and you're going to say that made no sense, but go listen to him. He's like, and Bianca Belair is fighting back, and Becky Lynch is looks like she could be closing in on the victory. He's almost like always out of breath, like it's the last thing he's ever going to say before he dies. That's the best way I can describe it. Again, terrible impression, but go listen. And maybe that's just the way he naturally tries to make things more exciting. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but I also don't hate him on the microphone. I think him behind the commentary desk is fine for now. It's fine. To me, Corey Graves is really the one that I like to listen to more than anybody on the Raw team. So, all right. Well, beyond Kevin Patrick, I just wanted to make that note before I didn't make it, is on Monday Night Raw, beyond Alexa Bliss, we have Damage Control here. And, Damage Control has been kind of flailing lately. I feel like they haven't had a huge program, and they've been fighting with Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch was backstage this week talking, saying a whole bunch of like cute little phrases about Bayley and how she always needs her entourage, her cronies, as Becky Lynch says, and that Becky wants the best version of Bayley, basically one-on-one. And we get that, except the cronies are still ringside until they get thrown out. And then Bayley ends up winning anyway. So, I don't hate this. In fact, Bayley and Becky is fun to watch, but should it not feel more important? I don't know. I feel like Becky Lynch and Bayley should feel more important. The match is always good, really good. I mean, that's never the case, but for some reason, this feels like a very toned down version of what they could be doing. I don't know if it's because they've got bigger things on the show and this isn't the true main event, and we all know Becky is going on to Ronda shortly, and Bayley is likely going to be facing Charlotte, and, well, who knows? It could be Charlotte and Bayley and Bianca and Rhea in like a fatal 4-way elimination match at WrestleMania. Who the hell knows? But it just feels like Becky Lynch is not really invested in this story, and that's weird to say. I'm not saying she's doing terrible acting. It's coming across as almost disinterested, and she's just going through the motions of this program. That's the vibe I get. Of course, you probably interpret it differently than I do. It doesn't seem like the most interesting story to me with Becky. It's just like they're feuding because I'm a babyface, you're a heel, and it doesn't feel deeper than that. Even though these two are connected back to NXT, the Four Horsewomen, all that, I get it. This one just feels a little bit empty. This program with Bayley has no soul to me. It's just being marketed purely based on name brand value, and that's it. It doesn't feel like this one has a whole lot, but I'll still watch it because they put on good matches, and that's the best you could ask for it from them. So again, it's not really a complaint. It's just this just is an observation for me. I'm not sitting here going to be ranting about how I don't feel anything for Becky and Bayley. I'm not going to feel everything for every program. It's just surprising given that these two are so good. But the match was really good, and we did get a distracted referee where Bayley used the monitor from ringside as a weapon, and then she hit the Rose Plant, got the victory. It was still fun. I mean, it's still fun because it put heat on Bayley, and it got me a little bit more interested in this program because now Bayley has, stolen a victory using the monitor, hitting Becky Lynch. Now you want to see Becky really, hammer her, right? So that's fine. And I don't know how far this is going to go. I would imagine at the Rumble, these two women end things, or maybe end it beforehand, because guess what? For the women, it's an all hands on deck situation for the Royal Rumble. All hands on deck. Even those that have passed away. I mean, I'm sure they'll try to dig up Mae Young, right? And the Fabulous Moolah to try to somehow participate in this match, to just simply get bodies to fill spots so it looks like there is a true women's division that is equal to the men's in terms of depth. Okay, now I will judge the women's division in the Royal Rumble based on how many stars they have to bring back from yesteryear to fill the spots that should be filled by current stars, but they can't because they don't have those women. Now, it's not that WWE hasn't employed, or rather has 30 women wrestlers on the roster. They do, but they're not going to throw everybody that's in there that shouldn't be in there yet. But at the same time, it's really a measuring stick. It's kind of like taking the temperature of the women's division. If you get the Tori Wilsons and Stacy Keeblers and Molly Hollies of the world and Ivories of the world that always come back every year to fill a spot simply because they want to make sure that they hit that 30, then you know that they're still not where they need to be for the women's division. Now, that's not to say that they can't have those women in there, scattered, like 2 or 3 in there on a yearly basis. They do that with the men's all the time. They've been doing it with the men's for years and years and years. But when it's like 25, 30% of the entrance, it's not good. So hopefully that's not the case this year. All right. Let's see here. The Usos take on Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Now, before we get there, though, the Bloodline ran roughshod over Monday Night Raw, and it was clear Roman Reigns wasn't really in Des Moines, Iowa. It was very clear he was not there. I don't know if they meant to intend that he was there, but given the backdrop where Paul Heyman spoke at the beginning of Monday Night Raw, which is nice to hear from Paul Heyman every once in a while, I think he's being underutilized right now. Where he was overexposed being the manager of Brock Lesnar, he's being underutilized in this group. While his body language is excellent and spot on, and his groveling snivelingness of always being so cowardice and really cowardly around and subservient rather to the tribal chief, saying, "Yes, my tribal chief," and just over emoting every word that Roman says and does, and it's fun to watch. But overall, Paul Heyman's been relatively silent, so to hear him speak for the first time in a while was nice, and it also it's going to be very helpful if they truly want to keep Roman Reigns heel through WrestleMania, if The Rock's coming back and all that, and try to avoid The Rock being booed and Roman being cheered. That's going to be an interesting dynamic, but Paul Heyman can help mitigate that concern because he's so good on the mic. So hopefully they'll bring out their big guns in Paul Heyman to try to reduce that potential. So anyway, it was clear that Roman Reigns wasn't truly in the building, but the Usos and Sami Uso, or Sami Zayn, were running roughshod, attacking Ziggler. They attacked Mustafa Ali. They attacked the OG, hitting the 1D on Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and that was that was interesting to me too. That we haven't seen that group fight that group, or like whenever you see new matchups, that's always fun, even if it's a very kind of flash in the pan situation. The Sami Zayn and AJ Styles match, I mean, what did you expect there? I know I mentioned the main event, but we'll get there. Sami Zayn and AJ Styles, really good. I mean, how can it not be? Back and forth, and having Sami Zayn get the victory was the only possible outcome. That was it. That was the only possible outcome. Sami Zayn could not lose that match, and he didn't. And AJ Styles can take a loss right now. He's back to just kind of not doing a whole lot. Hopefully that isn't a pattern that continues. But having Zayn get the victory after Solo Sikoa showed up at ringside made sense. And also what made sense is the Blue Thunder Bomb that actually ended the match. That was nice. And the pop-up powerbomb. So we got those two things. The Blue Thunder Bomb and the pop-up powerbomb. I just put that together. That both of those guys, Sami and Kevin, used their signature move. They used to be finishes. I don't know. That's actually, no. Sami Zayn never used his Blue Thunder Bomb as a finish. It's always just one of those guaranteed near fall signature moves, but not finishing moves. But Kevin Owens used to use the pop-up powerbomb as a finish, transition to the stunner, and since he has assigned the stunner as his finish, the pop-up powerbomb became the signature move that is kicked out of, except this week, right? So that was a nice differentiation and a way to change things up in a small way, but a fun way where you think your match is, you know, when you see somebody hit a signature move, it's like, oh, cool. You know, it's going to be near fall. Nope. That was a nice little twist where the signature move ended the match. I liked it. So good stuff. And again, AJ Styles losing here doesn't hurt AJ, but it helps Sami. It was the right move. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, give some love to the sponsor of today's episode, and then we'll be right back with more Monday Night Raw review right after this. So if you guys are fans of any wrestling game, then you're going to want to pay attention to this, because in the spring of 2023, and just a few months from now, there's a game that's going to be coming out for your mobile device called GM Universe. And what this is going to allow you to do is exactly what it sounds like. Become the general manager of your universe. You can buy and sell superstars. You can compare your progress to others and attempt to become the best league in the world. You'll be able to create superstars, teams, factions. You'll have a financial overview. Again, you can buy and sell the superstars. You can come up with your own league logo, come up with a weekly show name. This league is really yours to customize. So if you love wrestling or you love even fantasy football, this is the best of both worlds. In the spring of 2023, look out for General Manager Universe. It's GM Universe for short. It'll be available on Google Play and the App Store. And if you want an early preview of what this is going to look like, I put a link to the YouTube channel in the description of this show, or you can just search on YouTube GM Universe.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
All right, welcome back to the WWE Podcast. And just so you guys know, if you do want to get rid of the ads, easy to do. Patreon.com/WWE Podcast for $1 a month. You can get yourself ad-free. And actually, as we draw closer and closer to Royal Rumble, it would be an awesome thing to do, because you can get yourself in the Discord server and be able to talk with all the other patrons about your favorite topic, professional wrestling. Speaking of which, though, I would like to welcome our latest member, Michael F., who has joined us over the last 24 hours. And you can get yourself a shout out and ad-free everything for $1 a month. Patreon.com/WWE Podcast. All right. So let's get into Raw a little bit deeper here. Let's talk about Dexter Lumis and The Miz. Now, I wasn't really invested in this. You know, it was kind of like, you look at this and go, is this still going on? And you thought it was over, but the Double or Nothing thing was advertised a couple of weeks ago. They deliver on it. The Double or Nothing ladder match. And in this case, it ended up being with Dexter Lumis on the short end of the stick here. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because we saw the debut of Bronson Reed. He appeared out of nowhere. He yanked Lumis off the ladder, beat him down, and The Miz was able to take the money, win the match. I don't have any problem with this. It's not a program that I don't think anyone's supposed to take super seriously, and I don't hate it, but at the same time, this looks like this program is going to continue. So for Dexter Lumis, who's got one of the best looks in the business, I mean, he has got such a great look. Unfortunately, his promo skills are not great, and they can't be great if they're just completely leaning on the way he looks to sell matches. Hopefully, Dexter Lumis is, working on that behind the scenes to make himself a fully rounded star at some point, because I think his look could take him far, but it's going to cap him at a certain level. But this was fine. I mean, the match was fine. It wasn't anything special. We got a spot of Lumis jumping off the ladder to put himself through the table after the Miz moved. But the real big thing here, it was a slow-paced match, but it was the real big takeaway was the alliance of Bronson Reed with the Miz. The Miz paid off somebody to protect him now from the guy that he didn't pay anymore to pretend to stalk him. So the Miz is throwing his money around, getting him into trouble and getting him out of trouble. All right. What else did we get? Again, the Bloodline was just attacking everybody. But the OC versus the Alpha Academy. Now, anytime you see Alpha Academy in a matchup, there is a 95% chance of them losing. I don't even remember the last time either of them won a match together or solo. I don't know. It's such a shame. And the crowd was really behind Otis. There was some "Let's go Otis" chants in this matchup. And, it wasn't particularly positive for the OC. The OC were just kind of there. The crowd doesn't know how to react to them. The crowd is very vanilla for them. And rightfully so. Outside of AJ Styles, the other two are just kind of in the shadow of AJ. That's kind of been the story of Gallows and Anderson's career, is they are in the shadow of AJ Styles. And they also, to be fair, don't get a whole lot of mic time to build characters. The creative doesn't seem to be interested in helping them build character or build any kind of depth to their persona. So that doesn't help. And also, Otis is much more entertaining than the OC are right now. And I think the crowd recognizes the potential of the Alpha Academy beyond just being the in-house enhancement talent. I think the crowd recognizes that these two are entertaining. They have great chemistry together. They are best friends in real life. That helps. So, and also seeing them lose week after week after week after match, the crowd eventually is going to get tired of it and start to side with your heels that you're just pummeling, because at some point you don't have any more heat to blow off. You've blown it all off. They're not truly hated. The crowd sympathizes with them, and they will turn them organically babyface. That's kind of the way it's going to go, because once you beat somebody down so hard, at some point the crowd's going to feel sympathy, and I think they're at that tipping point. So, but the match itself here with the OC versus the Alpha Academy was fine. I mean, the match was kind of meaningless. It was a filler match, kind of. I mean, it really was. There were no consequences on the line. They were just there, which also maybe didn't help with the crowd reaction. And I felt like this matchup here, with these four men, didn't live up to its full potential. Like, I feel like if you put these four men in the ring again, they could do better. And it's not to say they embarrassed themselves or did a bad job of execution. I guess the expectation is just a little bit higher with these men in the ring, especially AJ and Gable, who, out of all the participants, are clearly the top in terms of athletic ability. But again, when people don't really care about what the Good Brothers do, Anderson and Gallows, it's hard to get invested at all, period. So that's really where the core of the problem lies, is there is almost no connection with the crowd between the OC, not AJ Styles, but the Good Brothers, and the audience. Like, they don't care. So, but this was fine. I mean, the OC got the victory here with the Magic Killer, and the OC, I mean, they get a victory, but who isn't beating the Alpha Academy these days? Again, you could take any two 4-year-olds from my son's preschool and put them in the ring, and somehow, some way, creative would find a way to have the Alpha Academy lose. So, I mean, I just don't get it. I don't. But, so after this, though, the Bloodline attacking everyone in sight, and once it was over, the Bloodline ambushed the OC, And that's it. I mean, the Alpha Academy, or rather the Bloodline, really ran things on Monday Night Raw for the most part, just running roughshod. Adam Pearce losing his mind, and kicking everyone out of the building, and that's pretty much it. But yet they were still able to come back and have matches. That makes sense, right? All right, so let's now talk about the main event: the Usos versus Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. I enjoyed this match. Now, having Kevin and Seth in the ring at the same time in partners, I mean, we've seen them have WrestleMania matches together before. I believe it was WrestleMania 36 in the silent WrestleMania where they faced each other and Kevin Owens jumped from the WrestleMania sign literally in the Capitol Wrestling Center, and he actually injured himself and was out for several months. And that also sent Seth Rollins into a spiral, but since that time, we haven't really seen them together outside of before last year's WrestleMania when Kevin Owens was about to face Stone Cold and, that whole thing. But I like how they address their past. That's fun. That's smart. That's good storytelling, that everyone's memory just doesn't get erased. And Kevin Owens is so entertaining on the microphone, especially when they had their interaction backstage. And they had Kevin Owens, after Seth Rollins laughed, Kevin Owens says, "I still got that laugh, huh?" And it's just one of those little things that he says that's, the fans are thinking. And it's just like your everyday guy, he's just being himself. Kevin Owens is such a joy to watch. You know what Seth Rollins is too? Seth Rollins has kind of come into his own. Seth Rollins has turned babyface. And I think he's leaning a little bit too heavily on his music. He's leaning a little bit too heavily into being the conductor of the maestros in the crowd who are singing along to his song, which that happened organically, and now Seth is trying to lead that, but I think he should back off a little and let the fans just do what they do. What's interesting to me, though, is going to be when Cody Rhodes comes back. You would imagine the first thing he's going to do is come after Seth, because he left injured, and then Seth continued to beat him down while he was injured, and you would imagine that would be the first person he'd go after. You'd imagine. We'll see. Which, if he does, you can't have, at least according to WWE, they're not going to keep Seth Rollins babyface with Cody Rhodes coming back, because they look at Cody Rhodes as a potential top guy, that could beat Roman Reigns for the belt. So, I think that they'll at some point turn Seth back heel for the sake of a Cody Rhodes program. So this could be a very short-lived babyface turn for Seth. But what I also love about Seth is he's kept the integrity of his character, even in being a heel, meaning he's being a little bit nicer and things, but he's not flipping around who he is. He's just continuing to be the kind of smarmy, but ridiculously dressed, but the fans find it endearing now kind of jerk, but also fans respect him now. I mean, and his music is, I think, single-handedly what tipped the scales to have the fans cheer for him. But he's not changing who he is. And too often you see WWE who have nasty heels get over organically, and then suddenly when the crowd starts cheering for them and WWE goes, okay, we're going to go with it, they have him flip to this pandering, you guys were always here, I know I haven't been nice. It's just, shut up, We're cheering for you even when you're being a total jerk. Why would you change the formula now? It makes no sense. So I'm glad that they've realized that that's a bad option. On top of the fact that you look at when Seth Rollins did have his other babyface run with the whole Brock Lesnar program several years back, he was that kind of pandering dude, and it didn't work out well. The fans turned on that. So anyway, get back to the match here. I don't mean to dive too deep into the analysis and psychology of the Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins characters, but that's kind of where my mind goes. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins get the victory here over the Usos, and really good main event. I think it was about a 10-minute main event. What made this interesting to me was the pop-up powerbomb got the victory for the first time in I don't know how long, and a really good match, as you'd expect. Zayn had a standoff with Kevin Owens at the end of this match, but didn't do anything physical with Kevin, and he just walked away. So there is going to be something here. I mean, they're continue to show that there is still something between Kevin and Sami. Now, in their tag match with John Cena and Kevin Owens versus Roman and Sami in just 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks now, we are going to have to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn physically interact. I mean, how can they avoid it? They're in the same match together. You can't have Kevin only fighting with Roman. At some point, the cards are going to fall where Sami and Kevin have to fight. So that has to happen. But I guess the question is, when they get physical with each other, how far do they take it? You know, do they still look like they're kind of pulling punches with each other? Does it look like they're not really laying into each other? Does it look like they have something maybe going on behind the scenes with one another? That's going to be interesting to me, because this would be the first time since the whole Bloodline thing happened that you would see Sami and Kevin get physical on air. So it's a very interesting match to me. That match has so many weird implications to me. To me, what's going to come out of this is we get, as I think I said this on my weekend review show, what I think the outcome of that match is going to be is the Usos, or rather Sami and Roman, get the victory by hook or crook. We have Kevin Owens take the pinfall, but Adam Pearce somehow gets the cubes, as they say, to make a triple threat for the Universal Heavyweight Championship between Kevin, John Cena, and Roman at the Rumble in a triple threat. That's how I think they get there. Now, Adam Pearce has been bowing at the altar and shaking and quivering at the very sight of Roman Reigns, so I don't know how that happens, but I would imagine maybe the board of directors gets involved, forces Adam Pearce's hand to do this. Somehow, some way, I believe that's what's going to happen, because otherwise, what are you going to have John Cena do at the Rumble? You're not going to have him enter the Rumble, because you know there's zero chance of him winning. We've already seen Roman and John Cena one-on-one before. So I think that's what happens. Now, we could also get a just John Cena appearance here. He goes away and comes back after Rumble in February and then finds his real opponent, and it's a one-on-one with Kevin and Roman at Rumble. That's also very possible. Either way, this results in the end result is we get to see what the main event is for the Royal Rumble with Roman Reigns. That is the ultimate goal of this match. That's, to me, the point of it. So that is my Monday Night Raw review. Again, a decent show for the time of year that we're in. I think that... Oh, wait. The Street Profits versus Judgment Day and Akira Tozawa versus Rhea Ripley. So the Street Profits get a victory here. That, to me, was really, really surprising given the position that the Judgment Day are in. And they're kind of in a holding pattern, kind of a hidden pattern until Edge and Beth Phoenix come back, of course, for the 18th time to face the Judgment Day. So the interesting part to me here, and I'll read the ending of this match. Montez Ford ended up getting the win with a roll-up after Akira Tozawa distracted Balor by throwing his drink in Dom's eyes. Ripley got in Tozawa's face and challenged him to a match right there. So the Street Profits get the victory because of Akira Tozawa distracting Balor and hitting Dom with a drink. But Rhea Ripley, of course, has to beat Akira Tozawa. And if you didn't see the match, I'll read. This did not last long. Here's the description of the matchup. Ripley dared Akira to punch her in the face, but he hesitated. So then Ripley just destroyed him with a boot to the face. He kicked out of a few pins, but it was only a matter of time before Rhea defeated him with Riptide. This is the first true intergender match to take place in WWE TV in many years, but we shouldn't get used to it. It felt like a one-off. it was fun to watch Ripley beat up dudes. That's at least what is reported by Bleacher Report. No, it's not fun, Bleacher Report. It is not fun. It's boring. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous. It's implausible is what it is. All of those things. Pick your adjective. It's stupid. How about that? It's stupid. And we all know why the men aren't allowed to fight back. Okay, I'm not going to get into this rant again, but it's completely unrealistic and just stupid. I love Rhea Ripley. I love everything that her character stands for. But when WWE continues to implement the policy of women are allowed to attack men, but men have to just cower and say, yes, ma'am, hit me as many times as you like because you're shielded by being a woman, it's ridiculously stupid. And anybody that, tries to say otherwise, just, you're just not using your head. Oh, I'm sorry. You're just not. But I understand why they do it. PR, it's a sensitive world out there. The cancel mob, you'd have people losing their minds. It's not 1999 anymore. You can't be. I understand all that. I understand why they don't. But if you're not going to have the men retaliate and then just look like cowards, then just don't have the men and women interact at all. Keep them separate. Like if you're not going to have the men be able to retaliate as they should because you're afraid of the cancel mob and riots outside of WWE headquarters that they're promoting domestic violence or something, then just don't have the women essentially castrate the men, like essentially symbolically castrate the men where they just don't have a set to defend themselves. I mean, it makes them look like cowards and it's completely unrealistic. So, all right. As I said, I wasn't going to rant about it. Here I am. Either way, I hated this. I hated it, not because it's Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley's doing a career work. I love it. I love what Akira Tozawa has done the last couple of weeks outside of this, getting the spotlight for the first time in his career. So I love that, but I don't love the man-woman dynamic that WWE has adopted, the principle they've adopted of just immunity because you're a woman. I hate it. So, all right. Somebody out there is, are you misogynistic? Yeah, I'd love to talk to you. If you think that's misogynistic, I'd love to talk to you. Seriously. Somebody out there is thinking it. All right. It's like the word of the year, right? All right. So I think that covers it with Monday Night Raw. That pretty much does it. A decent show, progressed some things. Alexa Bliss gets a little bit more physical. Things are progressing in that direction. We got a promotion for 2 weeks from now with Monday Night Raw with a title match of Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair. And other things. So certainly a lot to look forward to as we head into the Royal Rumble season, full steam ahead in just 2 weeks. Next week will be a fun week in review. And so, yeah, I think it's time, guys. It's almost that time that we turn the corner and hit the gas to the floor. We're almost there. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with your mailbag to answer your questions and listen to your voicemails and respond to them. If you'd like to join us, realwwepodcast@gmail.com is the email, or you can call us. That number is in the mailbag description notes of all the episodes. So check it out there. And that'll do it for me tonight, guys. Thank you so much for listening. As always, take care, and I'll talk to you next time. So if you guys are fans of any wrestling game, then you're going to want to pay attention to this, because in the spring of 2023, and just a few months from now, there's a game that's going to be coming out for your mobile device called GM Universe. And what this is going to allow you to do is exactly what it sounds like. Become the general manager of your universe. You can buy and sell superstars. You can compare your progress to others and attempt to become the best league in the world. You'll be able to create superstars, teams, factions. You'll have a financial overview. Again, you can buy and sell the superstars. You can come up with your own league logo, come up with a weekly show name. This league is really yours to customize. So if you love wrestling or you love even fantasy football, this is the best of both worlds. In the spring of 2023, look out for General Manager Universe. It's GM Universe for short. It'll be available on Google Play and the App Store. And if you want an early preview of what this is going to look like, I put a link to the YouTube channel in the description of this show. or you can just search on YouTube GM Universe.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.